All right, friends, so today we are going to be learning how to peyote stitch. All you're gonna need is a needle, a length of string, one that doesn't break easily if you tug on it. I ran out of my good kind, so we are using, probably not the best, but it'll do. Beads. I have fancy bead mats, but I am just using a mouse pad. Now, first things first, move the beads again. Want to get yourself a length of string. I'd say anywhere from 25 to 30 inches. Don't want it to be too long or else it'll get tangled very easily, and you don't want it to be too short or else you're gonna have to change it a bunch. So, you know, finding that perfect middle ground. And one of the more difficult parts is getting your fat thread through the tiny eye of the needle. Yay, we got it. Okay. Let's talk beads. Now, for peyote stitch, you need the beads that you are going to weave with, stitch with, and you also need a stopper bead. A bead that is fatter, larger than the other beads, and preferably easily breakable because they are a pain to remove. So you put it on the end and you want to wrap around it. I usually do it 3 times because you'll notice on 2 it'll still move like that, and you want it to be one that doesn't break easily if you tug on it. Whoa. Quite secure. So we're gonna try that again. Three times. That should be a good enough. That guy's not really going anywhere. Like to keep the tail a little short, but not too short, because theoretically you are going to weave that tail back into the piece. That doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes you need to employ your friend super glue, but now we can begin to stitch. An important thing about peyote, at least the way that I've been doing it is even count. You can do odd count peyote. I have not been trying odd count peyote. There are a few extra steps to it. Even count is the traditional way to learn for most beginners. But you are going to want to get your beads. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 beads. There they are. Look at how pretty. You want to take these beads, make sure you're keeping them close to the actual stopper bead, and you pick up your next bead, the one that you want above this one at the end. You take that bead, you put it on your needle, and you skip the first one and go right through the second. And I usually, at the beginning of every row, like to take the loop that connects the two of them on the edge through my needle, pull it up as much as possible, and then pull it down with my fingers. I just find that it makes it much easier to get a tighter stitch that way. And you want to keep your tension pretty tight on this. Yeah. Now you just take your next bead, put it on your needle, and make sure that you're holding it backwards. Usually I'll go backwards. It's the stopper bead, I keep it on for the whole stitch, even after you don't really need it anymore and the stitch is holding itself, just to always orient the piece and to know which is the right side and which is the left side. I always have the stopper bead on the right and weave from right to left to right to left and back and forth. Okay, so now next stitch, again, skip the one that it is going to sit above, go through its neighbor, pull it through, and look, there you go, your peyote stitching. Next bead. All right, so there is your first row. Very pretty. Now, you're going to want to take the next bead. And again, this is an edge piece, so you want to go through, make sure that it is quite tight. Again, I like to pull it through like that. Pick up your next bead. And you just go through. It's like brickwork, you know, fitting them into each other. The peyote stitch is offset, unlike a bead loom, which is going to be more of like pixelized and gridded. The peyote stitch is not that. It is offset, like bricks. Or the wrapper. And there you go. There is your first row done. And we are just going to do a little bit more stitching. Make sure you're keeping your tension. You will notice that the piece starts to curve inward. That will straighten out as you move upward. It's also important to note that the different width of bead is going to affect your piece. If you're using, say, 2 different brands of bead and one of them is more uniform and then the other one has more lopsided beads, that is going to affect the width of your piece and how it moves from row to row. Oh, made a little mistake here. A lot of times, the needle will just naturally follow through, especially if you're not paying very close attention to the next bead, and you can actually skip one so that it won't be Like you see, I pulled the thread all the way through this guy when there is supposed to be a bead right there. But all you gotta do, pull it through, re-thread your needle, and you're back in action. One thing about this process that I have found frustrating is that it can be hard to change your mistakes if you don't catch them correctly. At least for me, I don't want to rip out all the work that I did just for one, you know, bead where I have maybe used the wrong color or just, yeah, done it incorrectly. So I usually will just ignore that. Because, you know, you have beads flying everywhere and it's a pain in the butt. I don't like it. So I just kind of let the piece control me then, because I don't want to change that shit. Oh. Okay, now we are 3 and 3. Look at how pretty. Yeah, as you can see, the bottom row is much wider than these ones. If we orient it on the grid, you can notice better. But honestly, there are bigger battles to fight here. It's something that you can't really control. Beads are, you know, the closer you look at them, each one is different. And they are going to be oblong. Some of them are going to be wacky. You can't really let it affect your mental's health that much. Look at how pretty. All right, so look at you. You have finished a little creeper. Now, we're not done yet. To finish the peyote, you simply just go through the last end. Then I like to fold it, like roll it, kind of like this, and you literally just You literally just weave your tail back in to the piece. See, some people like to tie knots. I don't really bother, honestly. If you kind of curve it around, it will not budge. Okay, so to finish, you're just weaving the tail right back through the guy. With the piece that is as narrow as this creeper friend is, you can even go all the way to the end. Oh. And go right back through to really, really secure it in there. Like I said, you don't really even need to bother with knots. It's not gonna move. And to start a new thread, say I'm gonna make this guy taller, give him his little creeper body. You do the same thing. You just cut a new length of thread, weave it into your piece, and then come up through the one that you want to start on. Make sure that it's following the same pattern of thread that was followed before. And then you just start weaving with that guy. Now, here is my arch nemesis, the stopper bead. I have had a lot of trouble with these guys, so for some of them, I've just not even bothered to take them off. But this one looks like it wants to cooperate, and the first one will come out pretty easy, but it's just about, I've seriously never had luck with them like this before. Like, this is the easiest it has ever been, but yeah, like, you don't want to tug on it or else you're just gonna break that thread because it's like kind of tangled around in there. It's a pain in the butt. So I will dig it out with the needle. Sorry you guys can't really see this, but nothing too exciting with this stopper bead. Just a lot of frustration. All right, we got it. Very frayed, but that's okay. We're just gonna give it a quick lick. Beeswax is probably what I should be using, but creepers don't make noise, so he's not gonna talk, but there we go. Here is your finished product. Oh. Thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I do not have that on me right now, so a spit will have to do. Now, we're gonna do the same thing with this guy. Again, go through the next row, and yeah, you see, I mean, it's just slipping off my needle because it's so short. But that's okay. We don't need to do too much with this guy. Just make sure that you are getting it nice and secure. No, we just zip. There you are. The perfect peyote stitch. Creepers don't make noise, so he's not gonna talk, but there we go. here is your finished product. Oh. Thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, that's pretty much it.